going on, everybody? Horse back here again, and we're here for week 3 of the Stab League. So we're finally caught up. This video is going on the right day that's supposed to be going up, so that's awesome. Yeah, so we're gonna really just hop to the video. What I'm gonna be doing for this video is I'm gonna be going over the team that I brought first, and then we can go into the match and just talk about that. So I'm gonna be completely honest. I had one, again, as I was talking about in previous videos, I had a really, really busy week last week. And I was thinking that I was probably going to forfeit this match. I really didn't have time. But I ended up deciding that I would build for this team in about, 2 minutes and then face him. And so, I'd rather, lose 6-0 in normal fashion than just give him a 3-0 forfeit win. Because that's, really not fair when I'm looking at it. So I really just threw a really quick team together here. I don't know if it's too great, and in my opinion, I thought he had a really, really good matchup here. So pardon me if his team's kind of trash. But his team is Marshadow Z, Groudon, Zapdos, Suicune, Ferrothorn, Florges, Nihilego, Incineroar, Diggersby, and Cryogonal. His team is scary as hell. I literally, my team just can't beat Scarf Marshadow. I really have nothing to beat Scarf Marshadow at all. And that was the biggest threat to my whole team during team building. I don't have something that can beat it. Zapdos, the big defensive threat. Same thing with Suicune and Ferrothorn. Nihilego also has the ability to sweep me. Assault Vest and Incineroar does really, really well. And Diggersby can also bot me. So, this is going to be really, really rough heading in because just Marshadow paired with the bulk that he has with Zapdos, Suicune, Ferrothorn, and Nihilego and Incineroar too, just going to be a monster to deal with. So coming to the match, I thought he was going to bring Marshadow, Zapdos, Suicune, Ferrothorn, Nihilego, and Incineroar. And let's see if that's what he ended up bringing or not, but just looking at the team, the first thing I decided that I put on this team is Mandibuzz, because I needed some way to deal with Marshadow, and this was really the only way I could deal with Marshadow. It's max defense, max HP, to be able to take as many hits from Marshadow as I can. I have Heat Wave to deal with that Ferrothorn, and then the rest of the moveset is just really to deal with Marshadow. I got Foul Play, which 2-hit KOs that Marshadow. I got Reese to try and stall out that Marshadow. I have Lefties to also try and stall out Marshadow, and then I got Whirlwind in case something tries to set up, especially if it's Marshadow gets a Spectral Thief boost from something. So this whole Mandibuzz set is really just there to beat the Marshadow. This Tapu Lele set is actually really, really good against him, because I think I 2-hit KO everything on his team with this Tapu Lele set. He really doesn't have a good check here. So Tapu Lele is going to be really, really important for this matchup, and hopefully with it I can just poke big holes on his team. And Tapu Lele is also going to be coming into more importance later when I talk about my Hawlucha set. But this wasn't something that I realized too much during team prepping, because I only had 5 minutes to prep. But I realized during the game that Tapu Lele is a massive, massive threat to his team. Weavile is really there. It's max speed, so if he doesn't bring Scarf Marshadow, I at least tie with the speed, and then knockoff. I can fire off a knockoff or Icicle Crash, which will do a lot. It's also there because Icicle Crash allows me to deal with Nihilego. Knockoff is just really nice against the team overall. And the two big things are Groudon and Zapdos, because those two can prove to be really big threats to my team. And I'm just going to be able to bop them with this. Something I also realized by the time I got to Weavile when building was I didn't have anything that can efficiently really deal with Florges. Because of that, I decided to just paste on Poison Jab here too to try and fire off a big hit on that. Mewtwo is also coming this week. This is the first week in which Mewtwo doesn't have a matchup where it just bops the other team. But I still think Mewtwo 2-hit or 3-hit KOs mostly everything, where before in previous matchups it would 1-hit or 2-hit KO everything. But I think it's still a super solid Mon. It's able to beat Nihilego, which is one of the biggest threats here. If Marshadow's not Scarf, it's my only check to it. And even if Marshadow is Scarfed, if he goes for close combat or something to kill something, then I can just come in with Mewtwo, and Mewtwo now effectively becomes a check. I'm running Focus Blast. Basically, this whole coverage here just allows me to deal with almost everything. Marshadow is dealt with Psy Strike, Groudon with Ice Beam or Grass Knot, Zapdos with Ice Beam, Suicune with Grass Knot, Ferrothorn with Focus Blast, Florges with Psy Strike, Nihilego with Psy Strike, Incineroar with Focus Blast, Diggersby with Focus Blast, or Ice Beam, and then Cryogon with Focus Blast. So I have super effective or stab coverage against everything on his team. And the defense is just there to better take hits from Marshadow. You can see the theme here is I'm just trying to live those Marshadow hits. And then we got Hawlucha here. So Hawlucha is probably going to be the win con for this game. Once I get Psychic Seed up, I'm now at +1 special defense and +2 speed. And then I get my Swords Dance up, and at that point, I should be able to break through a lot of his team here. I opted to run Stone Edge on this set, where I didn't have that before, just to beat through, like, Zapdos and stuff. My plan is to have Suicune or Zapdos or, Nihilego kill something, and then I bring in Hawlucha on that. It's like, sack Tapu Lele into one of those three, and then come in with Hawlucha and try to win it. And that's really what Hawlucha is going to be trying to do in this game. It has enough speed, I think, to add speed of Scarf Marshadow, and the rest is just an attack and HP just to fire off big hits. Finally, I decided to bring Diancie here. It's Earth Power to... It's really my Nihilego check. I ran Earth Power to check that. I also checked Incineroar, so that's the main two reasons I brought it. I also can kind of check Marshadow, because it can come in, take one hit, and fire off a Moonblast, which will be doing a lot to him. Other than that, it's not doing too much in this matchup. It's also checking Zapdos. So that was really the idea for it, and also you can lure in Ferrothorn and then fire off an HP Fire. So this team is very, very average, very meh, and I don't feel super comfortable with it. But I think I can like bring this down to like a 2-0 or 1-0 loss instead of a 3-0 loss that I would have got if this was a forfeit. But with that, I can talk about the mons I decided not to bring. I opted to not bring Lando T, just because Marshadow, Scarf or not, Ice Punch is just doing so much to it. And really, Lando T doesn't have the best offensive matchup ever. Like, at first look, it looks like it would with my opponent having things like Zapdos, Nihilego, and Incineroar and stuff. But overall, there's not much I can do to stuff like Cryogonal, Suicune, Ferrothorn, so I opted not to bring that. Same thing with Rotom Wash. I thought I had a strong matchup in the beginning, but that was really the 7th Mon for this team, but I didn't know what Mon to get rid of to fit it on. It was basically between Diancie and it in the last minute, and I decided to go Diancie over it, because I thought I needed to check for Nihilego. I just don't like Fortress, really. I don't really, I mean, like, if I need spikes at one point, I'll bring it, but I just don't like it at all. Especially like stuff like Incineroar running around, I didn't want to bring it. But Cephalon doesn't have a great matchup here. Marshadow just bops it. And then Roserade, Marshadow is a huge threat to it. Zapdos is a huge threat. Looking back at it now, Roserade could have done pretty well. Maybe I should have brought Roserade. But with that, we can move on to the game. So here's the game, guys. We are going against Boom Boom Boom, or Youngsterville. Great guy, really like him. He's been nothing but kind to me in this community since I've came in. And he did really, really well in March Madness, and that was awesome to see. So he's a really big threat here. I think he has matchup, and it's going to be hard to take him down. But, of course, we're going to be trying our hardest. So, just looking here at, like, lead matchup, I wasn't too sure what to lead here. My thought was he probably leads Groudon, and when looking at team matchup, I realized, wow, first of all, he didn't bring Nihilego or Incineroar, and that was really big for me, because those were two huge threats to my team. He also didn't bring Ferrothorn, which is great for me. But I'm looking here, and I'm like, Tapu Lele bops, like, 2-hit KOs everything on his team. So I say, okay, I'm just going to lead Tapu Lele, and I'm going to see what he ends up leading with. So he leads with Groudon. And I'm like, okay, he's probably going to set up Rocks here. Rocks do suck for my team, because that kind of brings down Mandibuzz. I should have brought Defog on Mandibuzz, that's what I realized first, but it kind of lowers Mandibuzz's utility here. But I think there's really nothing I can do here other than just fire off a Psychic or Psyshock. And, yeah, so that's what I ended up just doing here. I fire off a really, really powerful Psychic turn 1, and it bops the Groudon, and this sense it just makes sense for him to sack the Groudon. In turn 2, we're seeing we already get the advantage because Groudon's going down to this Tapu Lele. So I think this is really showing a prelude to how much work Tapu Lele is going to be able to put in this matchup. He goes into Marshadow here, and to me, this effectively shows me that he's Scarf here, which I expected in team matchup, but like now I'm 100% sure that it's Scarf. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to go for a Spectral Thief, because of, or whatever ghost cover he has. Because of that, I'm gonna pivot into Mandibuzz, but he makes an absolutely amazing play and predicts that Mandibuzz switch in and goes into Zapdos. So now I'm really behind in this game, and just like that, it's gone against me. I pivot into Diancie here to go against Zapdos. He goes for Discharge. Luckily, he doesn't get the paralysis, and at this point, I'm just gonna fire off Diamond Storm, trying to deal damage to the Zapdos. He switches up to Suicune, which I'm obviously fine with. At this point, I just want to get off as much damage as I can on the Suicune. I'm willing to let my Diancie go down because he didn't bring the Incineroar and the Nika Lego, which is what this set was really meant to deal with. So at this point, all I want to do with Diancie is get the most damage I can off on this Suicune. So I go for Moonblast, and thank God I get a special attack drop here. So now I can eat up a lot more Skulls than I used to before. If I eat up that Scald, I go for another Moonblast, and I'm going to eat up one more Scald. Oh, but he goes for Rest here, and I'm not too bothered with that, because this just allows me to fire off more Moonblast at him. Eventually, I should get a crit or something, and this is where he decides to pivot out, but at that point, I realize, okay, he's rested up. He's probably not going to be able to do he's not doing too much to me with Scald. It makes sense to just pivot into Tapu Lele, and then something on his team's going to have to take a big pick. Big hit. But luckily, he switches into Florges at this point of the match. So I'm like, okay, now the ball's back in my court, because Tapu Lele is going to be doing a lot to Florges. So he goes for Protect to scout what move I'm going to click. I click Psychic here. I go for Psychic against Florges, does a lot to him. He goes for Moonblast, but I get the special attack drop now. So I guess the hack just balances out there. This isn't. I didn't think this was huge for me in the game, because now I can still kill Florges. But this actually does prove to be some pretty big hacks, because if you can see here, he just tries to pivot out to Latios, and now because of the special attack drop, I don't 2-hit KO the Latios anymore. Normally, I would just be able to stay in with that Latios and 2-hit KO with Psychic, but now I'm not able to. So at this point, I decide, okay, I'm just going to sack off my Diancie. It's not going to do much more in this game. So Diancie goes down at this point. I now send in Weavile, because Weavile just instantly pressures this Latios, and he decides to go into Suicune. I'm like, this is absolutely fine. I can just spam knockoff until the Suicune's dead. I really don't care at all. I just want this Suicune to die. So I spam knockoff. He's asleep. I spam knockoff again. He's asleep. So I am taking a lot of Life Orb damage, but that's perfectly fine with me. He goes into Marshadow, so I know I need to pivot out to Mandibuzz here. He fires off a close combat. I was hoping I hadn't done calcs before the game. But I was hoping that a close combat wouldn't do that much, but it ended up actually 2-hit KOing me at this point. So really early in the game, Mandibuzz doesn't get to do anything, and it died to 2 close combats. And that's just really, really unfortunate for me. At this point, though, I'm free to switch into Mewtwo, because he can't just spam close combat against me, and he's forced to sack his Florges at this point. Now he just gets a free switch back into Marshadow. My play here is just sack the Weavile, and I realize now in the end game, here's what I have to do. I sack the Weavile, I go into Tapu Lele, I allow him to kill my Tapu Lele, I go into Hawlucha, and I try to set up and win game. So that's my plan here. I allow him to go ahead and kill the Weavile, and he does. Now I go into Tapu Lele to get the Psychic Terrain up, and I allow him to kill my Tapu Lele. And now it's up to me. And I think I send in Hawlucha, and this is the most important part of the game. I have Acrobatics, Stone Edge, High Jump Kick, and Sword Stance. I'm either going to click Acrobatics or Sword Stance this turn. If I click Acrobatics, Marshadow dies, and then he probably sends in Latios or Zapdos. If he goes into Latios, I think he has a chance to kill me with Psychic Terrain up, and then the game's basically over, because... Or it's not completely over, because Mewtwo can then kill Latios, and it would come down to basically it would be Mewtwo versus Zapdos. It would basically just come down to who would live that. And yeah, I was at 87%, so I guess I could have won there. If I click Acrobatics here and then he goes into Zapdos, then he could go for Discharge. I would live the Discharge, and then I'd go for Sword Dance. And then if I land a Stone Edge on the Zapdos and then Acrobatics on the Latios, I would win. But if he paralyzed me with that Discharge, I'm basically just done. Or I could set up a Swords Dance right here, hope he switches out, and then I just win the game straight up. But if he stays in as a Swords Dance and goes for Spectral Thief, the game's just over there. So I think at this point the best play for me is to go for Acrobatics, because if he stays in with Marshadow's dead. If he switches out, that's fine, because he'll probably switch out into Zapdos, and I'm free to set up a Swords Dance on Zapdos, and my computer just crashed. But we can go back to the point in the game where we were before. I think this was the point. Where were we? Oh yeah, Halucha just came in. Okay, so I think I already talked about what move I was going to do here. The better play was to go for Acrobatics. But instead, what I decided to do, I didn't really think about it too much. Because, again, if I had gone for Acrobatics, either Marshadow's dead, or Latios is 2-hit KO'd, or Zapdos, if that comes in, it takes from Acrobatics. I can freely set up a Swords Dance, and as long as he doesn't paralyze me, I'm fine. And then I click Stone Edge, and I win the game. So that was probably my best play here. I should have clicked Acrobatics, just in case he stayed in with Marshadow. But I don't think about that. I actually clicked Swords Dance here. But so luckily for me, he switches out, and now because of that, as long as I hit the Stone Edge, I win the game. And I hit the Stone Edge, Zapdos goes down, and his 2 remaining Mons die to Acrobatics. Down goes the Latios. In comes Marshadow. I'm hoping, did I EV this correctly? Did I EV correctly? And I did. And Marshadow drops, and there we get a solid 2-0 victory for the Salem Keizer Volcanions. This win felt really good. It's just a really solid win. I've been feeling a little shaky on Pokemon, especially not having that much time to prep, and it felt really nice to grab a win here. It really reinvigorated me for my Week 8 match in UBC, which will be coming out on Friday. That was a hell of a match. I also played Tour over the weekend, and I actually ended up winning it. And this really just hyped me up for that. And overall, I thought this was really just a super fun game. Now that I'm at 2-1, I think I'm actually in a really solid playoff position. Spoiler alert, but Travesty, who is the guy who beat me last week, who is the only person, I think he was one of the only people in our conference who was 2-0, was actually defeated this week. So now he's 2-1 also. He's more differential than us, but he's only 2-1 right now. So he's in the same spot as us. And then also, Jolt unfortunately dropped the Stab League because of time constraints, but the Flying Bird is coming in and filling in for him, and the Flying Bird is also 2-1 at this point, and I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's one more person who's 2-1. I think DJ is like 2-0, but he had a break week, and other than that, there's probably one more person who's 2-1. I'm just forgetting who they are. Yeah, I'm just forgetting who they are. I'm not 100% sure who it is, but the race is heating up. And next week I have a really big game coming up because I'm fighting the Flying Bird, and we're both 2-1 teams, and one of us is going to go to 3-1 and really cement ourselves in this league, and one of us is going to go to 2-2 and kind of fall to the wayside. Frankly, I wish I was playing Jolt. The Flying Bird is a lot scarier. He's a really good player, and his team's been improved a lot by some free agencies, and frankly, I'm scared of him. It's gonna be a really rough matchup. He has Greninja, Aegislash, Zygarde, Conkeldurr, Superior, Crobat, Snorlax, Tapu Fini, Stakataka, and Volcarona. Like, every single mon in his team is a huge threat, and I think he probably has matchup against me too. He has a lot of time, and I'm really going to be prepping hard for him. I'm really going to try to grab that W there. And after that, I forget who we play in Week 5, but in Week 6, I think we played DJ too. And DJ is, I think, the only undefeated team left. Or actually, Stab's undefeated too, I think. So one of the only 2 undefeated teams left. And that's going to be really scary, facing DJ. So I think in the next 3 weeks, if we can walk out of there going 2-1, so by the midpoint of the season we're 4-2, that would be perfect. I just want to be 4-2 or 3-3 by the end, or by the midpoint of the season. But the dream is to go 4-2 or 5-1. That would be absolutely amazing. I'm gonna be giving it my all. And I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching, and I will catch all of you guys later. Peace.